Stephen Hawking, just saying the name brings to mind incredible discoveries in cosmology. He truly mesmerized the world with his theories on the universe, especially when he spoke about the Big Bang, which kicked off everything around 15 billion years ago. But what was there before the Big Bang? That's the real kicker. As a professor, his influence spread far beyond his lectures. He inspired countless generations of scientists and thinkers. But beyond his extraordinary career, there was a man who fought fiercely against ALS, all while pushing the limits of what we knew about the universe. Yet, there came a moment that would change everything, an idea that would leave a lasting impact on science just before he passed away. Surprisingly, before he became the renowned scientist we know, Stephen Hawking wasn't seen as a standout student. His life, defined by his game-changing contributions to science, wasn't always set in stone. However, right before his death, he shared a final warning that could change how we look at humanity's future. But before we dive into that startling revelation, let's take a quick look at the life and legacy of this iconic genius. Stephen Hawking's rise to fame wasn't something fate had planned out for him. It was a journey shaped by his childhood and education. From a young age, his brilliance was evident, though his path wasn't always obvious. Growing up in post-war England, his early years were filled with curiosity, and he had a unique ability to make sense of the world around him. Born in Oxford in 1942, Stephen was the eldest of 4 kids. His parents, Frank and Isabel, were both highly intelligent, so it's no surprise they encouraged their children to think for themselves. His father was a medical researcher who worked with some of the brightest minds in science, while his mother had studied at Oxford too. Even though Stephen grew up in an academic household, his early childhood didn't exactly scream future genius. He wasn't a standout student at first, and his performance at school was pretty average. But that didn't mean he lacked curiosity or the desire to understand the world. When he was still young, his family moved to St. Albans, just north of London. It was at St. Albans School that his academic interests really started to take shape. While he wasn't the top student in his early years, his love for science was undeniable. He particularly fell in love with mathematics and physics, 2 subjects that would define his entire career. His classmates would later remember how Stephen approached problems in a unique way. While most kids might just accept answers, Stephen dug deep into the reasoning behind them, asking questions that others wouldn't think of. His passion for numbers and the natural world grew stronger as he got older, and soon, his potential was impossible to ignore. While Stephen didn't score top marks on every test, his academic work was filled with depth and creativity. His interest in problem-solving was clear from the start. By the time he was a teenager, he was building his own makeshift computers from spare parts, something that now seems ahead of its time. This mechanical curiosity wasn't just about taking things apart. It reflected Stephen's deeper interest in understanding how everything worked, the universe itself. While at St. Albans, Stephen faced some personal struggles, but one of the biggest moments of his early life came when, at just 21, he was diagnosed with a rare form of motor neuron disease. At that point, Stephen was still a young man with big dreams and plans for the future. The diagnosis didn't slow him down. In fact, it seemed to fuel his determination, pushing him harder than ever to pursue his education and career. Though the course of his academic journey was already set by the time of his diagnosis, his path didn't stop there. After finishing school in St. Albans, Stephen headed to University College, Oxford, where he encountered a whole new set of challenges, both academically and socially. At Oxford, Stephen initially struggled with the pressure of the highly competitive environment. However, it didn't take long for his intellect to shine through, and he graduated with a degree in natural science. But his time at Oxford wasn't without its struggles. Even though he was a naturally curious student, Stephen had doubts about his future career during his undergraduate years. He often questioned his choices and felt uncertain about what lay ahead. However, his experiences at Oxford helped shape his scientific views, and by the end of it, he was firmly on the path that would define the rest of his life. After Oxford, Stephen moved on to Cambridge University to complete his doctoral studies in cosmology. Cambridge proved to be the perfect environment for Stephen's growing intellectual abilities. Under the guidance of brilliant scientists like Dennis Sciama, Stephen began to explore the universe's mysteries, focusing on the nature of black holes and the origins of the cosmos. The shift to cosmology marked a huge turning point in Stephen's academic life, and it was at Cambridge that his groundbreaking ideas began to take shape. He was no longer just a student. He was becoming a thinker whose ideas would eventually transform modern physics. But it's important to note that Stephen's journey through education wasn't smooth sailing. Even though he had a natural curiosity and an unrelenting desire to understand the universe, his path was filled with obstacles. His early years at both Oxford and Cambridge showed that even the brightest minds don't always have an easy ride. Stephen wasn't always the top student in the room, and he had to work hard to earn his place. But his persistence and passion for science paid off. By the time he earned his PhD in cosmology from Cambridge in 1966, he was already making waves in the scientific community. Throughout his childhood and education, Stephen Hawking's story was one of perseverance. Though his path to greatness wasn't as straightforward as many would have expected, his relentless curiosity and drive to understand the universe set him on a course that would lead to extraordinary achievements. Stephen's education wasn't just about attending prestigious schools or racking up high marks. It was about finding a deeper purpose and forming a connection with the universe that few could ever fully grasp. And it was only after his death that Stephen revealed something about the universe that shocked the world, challenging what many had always thought to be true. Stephen Hawking's career as both a professor and a scientist is one of the most extraordinary in the history of physics. But it wasn't just about the revolutionary theories he developed. It was also about his work as a teacher and mentor, where he made a significant impact on the academic world beyond his own discoveries. From his early days as a PhD student at Cambridge to his later role as a world-renowned professor and researcher, Stephen's career was driven by a deep passion for science and a commitment to sharing that passion with others. After completing his doctoral studies in cosmology at Cambridge University, Stephen's scientific career began to soar in a way that most young scientists only dream of. His PhD research focused on black holes and the nature of the universe. But his time at Cambridge wasn't just about writing papers or attending conferences. Stephen quickly found himself in a role that allowed him to teach and collaborate with some of the brightest minds in the field. He started his career as a researcher at Cambridge, eventually becoming a fellow at Gonville and Caius College. It was here that Stephen's influence as an academic began to grow, and his position allowed him to work closely with other experts, helping to create a collaborative environment where new ideas could emerge and take shape. As a teacher, Stephen was renowned for his ability to make complex concepts accessible. While he was widely regarded as a leading researcher, his role as an educator was equally important. His teaching style was unique. He had a talent for breaking down the most difficult ideas in physics and making them understandable to students. Despite the challenges posed by ALS, which began to affect his mobility, Stephen never let his health problems interfere with his dedication to teaching. He became a lecturer at the University of Cambridge, working with both undergraduate and graduate students. His classes were known for being rigorous, but they also inspired students to think creatively. Stephen often encouraged them to explore new ideas, question established theories, and push the limits of what they knew about the universe. His classroom was a place where curiosity thrived, and students were pushed to see the world in ways they'd never imagined before. In addition to his work as a teacher, Stephen's role as a scientist at Cambridge gave him the opportunity to focus on his own research while collaborating with colleagues from around the world. As a leading figure in theoretical physics, he had access to advanced technology, research facilities, and the chance to work alongside some of the sharpest minds in the scientific community. His research wasn't just limited to traditional areas of physics. Stephen was deeply interested in the intersection of quantum mechanics and general relativity, two fields that had long been thought to be incompatible. His ability to unite these two branches of physics while pushing the boundaries of what was known made him a truly unique figure in the academic world. Throughout his career, Stephen's work extended far beyond just his own research. He played a pivotal role in shaping the research environment at Cambridge, fostering a culture of collaboration and the free exchange of ideas among students and colleagues. His reputation as both a scientist and a teacher attracted students from all over the world, who came to Cambridge to study under his guidance, benefiting from his expertise and passion for the universe. Stephen Hawking's scientific career wasn't just about the groundbreaking discoveries he made. It was also about the lasting legacy he left behind through his mentorship and influence on future generations of physicists. His role as a teacher at Cambridge played a crucial part in shaping the future of theoretical physics. In 1979, Stephen was appointed to the prestigious Lucasian Professor of Mathematics position at the University of Cambridge, one of the most renowned academic roles in the world. This position was especially significant as it had once been held by none other than Isaac Newton. With this appointment, Stephen cemented his place among the giants of science, but it also meant that his responsibilities as a teacher and mentor grew even more. As the Lucasian professor, Stephen had the privilege of working with some of the brightest students and researchers, many of whom would go on to make their own significant contributions to science. Beyond his role at Cambridge, Stephen held several important positions throughout his career, including membership in the Pontifical Academy of Sciences, a fellowship with the Royal Society, and service on various scientific advisory boards. His influence stretched far beyond his own research, and he became a central figurehead for the scientific community. Stephen advocated passionately for the importance of science education and research in society, and his work with various scientific organizations helped raise the profile of physics and mathematics, especially in fields like cosmology, where his most significant contributions were made. Stephen's scientific career was not only defined by his groundbreaking discoveries, but also by the impact he had on the broader scientific community. Through his teaching, mentorship, and collaboration with other institutions, he became a key figure in the field of theoretical physics. His dedication to science, ability to inspire others, and role as both a teacher and scientist made him one of the most influential figures of his generation. Now let's take a closer look at Stephen's revolutionary discoveries, which even led to uncovering a 2,000-year-old lie. Stephen's contributions to science are legendary, but what truly set him apart was his ability to combine complex concepts in physics with theories that challenge the way we think about the universe. His career was driven by a relentless desire to understand some of the most profound questions about existence, space, time, and the origins of the cosmos. Stephen's theories and discoveries reshaped the landscape of theoretical physics, and his work continues to inspire scientists today. However, his impact didn't stop with his own discoveries. It was also about pioneering new ways of thinking about space and time. One of Stephen's most famous contributions was his groundbreaking work on black holes. Before Stephen's research, black holes were largely seen as theoretical objects, predicted by Einstein's theory of general relativity but lacking concrete evidence or a clear understanding of how they worked. Stephen's work in the 1970s changed this view entirely. Using quantum mechanics, he demonstrated that black holes weren't simply cosmic voids where matter and light disappeared. Rather, they could emit radiation, a concept that became known as Hawking radiation. This discovery was a major breakthrough in theoretical physics. Stephen proposed that due to the strange properties of quantum mechanics, black holes should gradually lose mass over time by emitting radiation. This insight not only deepened our understanding of black holes, but also opened up new avenues of research in the field. This discovery meant that black holes weren't completely black after all. They could eventually evaporate and disappear. Stephen's groundbreaking idea flipped the entire concept of black holes on its head. He showed that black holes, instead of just being cosmic voids, could gradually lose mass over time by emitting radiation. This theory not only shed new light on the nature of black holes, but also opened up fresh questions about how we think about the universe. In fact, this discovery would eventually lead Stephen to reveal a shocking warning before his death, something that could change how we see the future of humanity. Alongside his work on black holes, Stephen made enormous contributions to cosmology, especially in the 1960s when he collaborated with Roger Penrose. Together, they developed the Penrose-Hawking singularity theorem, which proposed that the universe had a beginning, known as a singularity. A singularity is a point where space and time become infinitely warped, and this concept was essential to understanding the Big Bang. Their work played a crucial role in providing scientific support for the Big Bang theory, which suggests that the universe started from an extremely hot, dense point and has been expanding ever since. Stephen's work didn't end there, though. In the 1980s, he introduced his famous no-boundary proposal, suggesting that the universe might not have edges or boundaries at all. Instead, it could be self-contained, much like the surface of a sphere. According to this idea, the universe may not have a beginning or an end, but rather exists in a timeless state. This proposal was Stephen's attempt to reconcile the Big Bang with quantum mechanics, adding another layer to our understanding of the cosmos. Rather than imagining the universe as having a distinct starting point, Stephen proposed that time itself could be connected to the shape of space, changing how we think about the beginning of everything. Another vital part of Stephen's work was his approach to unifying two of the most fundamental fields in physics, general relativity and quantum mechanics. These two areas describe the universe at vastly different scales. General relativity explains gravity and the large-scale structure of the cosmos, while quantum mechanics governs the behavior of tiny particles. The two fields don't quite fit together easily. For years, physicists have been striving to develop a unified theory of everything, one that could explain all the forces in the universe using a single framework. While Stephen didn't quite solve the theory of everything, his work on black holes, quantum mechanics, and the nature of the universe made significant strides toward this goal. His research laid the groundwork for continued studies in this area, narrowing down the possibilities and sparking further investigation into one of the most elusive questions in science. Stephen's ability to think about the universe in completely new ways also led him to explore the very concept of time itself. Typically, time is thought of as a straight line that moves forward, from past to present to future. However, Stephen proposed that time might be much more complex than that. In his work on the nature of time, he speculated that time might have a beginning, a moment of creation that marked the birth of the universe itself. He also explored the possibility that time might not exist in the way we perceive it. In his groundbreaking book, A Brief History of Time, Stephen examined time from both scientific and philosophical perspectives, leading many to rethink the way we experience and understand time itself. While his work had profound theoretical implications, it also had practical consequences in terms of how we look at the universe today. His contributions to cosmology, black hole theory, and quantum mechanics continue to influence scientific research. Even though some of his ideas remain speculative, they have shaped the direction of modern physics and cosmology, paving the way for future discoveries. However, these groundbreaking theories were not the only legacy Stephen left behind. In his final years, Stephen had much to reflect on. He had already reshaped humanity's understanding of the universe, but as his life neared its end, he revealed something startling, a revelation that would shake the very foundations of what we thought we knew. This final warning, leaked after his death, shocked even those closest to him. It wasn't just another scientific discovery or an advancement in theoretical physics. Instead, it was a challenge to the way humanity perceives its place in the cosmos. For millennia, humans have clung to the belief that Earth is the center of everything. This idea persisted in various forms, reinforced by religious teachings, cultural practices, and even outdated scientific models that dominated human understanding for centuries. But Stephen's final message was clear. Not only is Earth not the center of the universe, it isn't even close. While this may seem obvious today, given the overwhelming evidence that Earth orbits the Sun and that the Sun itself is just one of countless stars in a galaxy with billions of others, Stephen went even further. He pointed out that the universe is far more complex than most of us can even imagine. Beyond the countless stars, galaxies, and black holes, there might be many more universes, each with its own unique characteristics, laws of physics, and possibly even forms of life. The idea of multiple universes, or the multiverse, was something Stephen had explored extensively in his work on black holes and quantum mechanics. His research indicated that the laws of physics, as we know them, could be radically different in other universes, and they could even be inhabited by forms of life entirely foreign to us. The multiverse theory wasn't just an abstract idea Stephen speculated on in his later years. It was deeply rooted in his earlier work on black holes. He had famously theorized that black holes could emit radiation, which suggested that other universes could operate under completely different sets of rules than the one we inhabit. This realization challenged the long-held belief that our universe and the laws governing it were the only ones in existence. Stephen's warning was a call to acknowledge the vast unknowns in the cosmos and to consider that our place in the universe might be even more insignificant than we ever thought. Hawking radiation was a revolutionary discovery that not only changed our understanding of black holes, but also had profound implications for the very fabric of space and time. Stephen proposed that quantum mechanics, which governs the behavior of the smallest particles in the universe, could have far-reaching effects, potentially allowing for the creation of entire universes, each with its own set of physical constants. This discovery fundamentally altered the way scientists thought about the universe, showing that it might be even more complex and dynamic than we could have ever imagined. As Stephen reflected on these ideas in his final moments, he issued a profound warning. Humanity has yet to fully grasp the vastness and true nature of the cosmos. His message was clear. The truth is that we are just one small part of a much larger, more intricate reality. His warning wasn't just about Earth's position in the universe. It was a call to recognize that we may not be alone in the cosmos. For centuries, the idea that life could exist elsewhere in the universe has been a subject of debate and speculation. But Stephen's groundbreaking work gave this notion a new level of seriousness. Given the sheer number of stars and planets scattered across the universe, and the possibility of many more universes beyond our own, the chances of Earth being the only place where life exists are slim at best. In fact, it's entirely possible, if not probable, that life exists in forms that are radically different from anything we could imagine. As advanced as we are in our understanding of the universe, Stephen reminded us that our comprehension is still incredibly limited. His deep understanding of the scientific principles at play, his research on black holes, the nature of time, and the very fabric of space, pointed to a reality that is far more complicated and mysterious than we will ever fully comprehend. Throughout his career, Stephen never lost sight of the wonder and awe that the universe inspires. Even as he spent his life unraveling some of the most perplexing and mind-boggling questions in modern science, he urged humanity not to lose its sense of curiosity and humility in the face of such vastness. In his final days, Stephen's warning was not just a scientific discovery, but a call to humanity. Expand your view of the cosmos and your place within it. Don't just look up at the stars in wonder. Embrace the possibility that we are part of something much larger and more complex than we can possibly understand. His words were a reminder that the universe is still full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered, and that humanity must approach it with both awe and a willingness to challenge long-held beliefs.